Officials from the Five Eyes Intelligence Alliance announced the release of 11 voluntary principles for tech companies to follow in order to help combat child sexual abuse online.
Today, we are collectively launching the 11 voluntary principles. And I'm happy that the hard work by both the Five Eyes and our industry colleagues have come to fruition today. The 11 voluntary principles establish a baseline framework for companies that provide online services to deter the use of the internet as a tool for sexually exploiting and abusing children.
Encryption remains the elephant in the room. Last year, Facebook identified around 12 million incidents of child sexual exploitation abuse on Messenger, something that I absolutely commend them for doing. Yet, plans to encrypt this service would leave you blind to the same crimes, blind to the same abuse.
And child sexual exploitation is not new in our society, but technology and the internet have made things much more challenging in the investigation, in the prevention, and the detection of this terrible crime. Technological advances have made it easier for perpetrators to anonymously share and view exploitative and abusive material. And they've created avenues for predators to find potential victims anywhere in the world, to lure them and to persuade them to share photos and videos of themselves.
The abhorrence of these crimes is compounded by their growing prevalence. In fact, every 5 minutes a web page shows a child being sexually abused. Australia, I'm sorry to say, contributes to the epidemic of child sexual abuse. In 2019, the Australian Federal Police received almost 17,000 reports of online child sexual abuse involving Australian children or child sex offenders.
The voluntary principles are an important step toward ensuring the loopholes currently utilised by those who engage in online sexual exploitation are closed, but it is just a step. The words must be backed with actions. The safety of children around the world is paramount to all of us here today. Working with the digital industry has ensured the voluntary principles are robust, flexible, and, we hope, effective.
And now for entertainment news. Calgarians laugh, cry, and learn valuable life lessons at the Guerrero Tuloy Ang Laban showing in Calgary. Here's Eagle News correspondent Tiffany Alisasis with the details.
The independent film, Guerrero, was shown in Calgary back in November 2019, and now the fight continues with the sequel, Guerrero 2. The independent film, Guerrero, was shown in Calgary back in November 2019. And now the fight continues with the sequel, Guerrero 2. The showing here in Calgary, Canada is one of the first overseas to initiate Guerrero 2.
Very inspiring. Actually, masaya talaga. Like, it gives you the feeling that there's always hope.
This touching film teaches a lesson of finding happiness, despite all the challenges in life, and inspires moviegoers to do the same.
Even if there's a lot of trouble, just fight. And we always remember there's a God behind us.
During the movie screening held at Cardell Theatre, most of the audience could not help but cry. The audience all had different expressions on their faces throughout the film.
For me, I think like the movie is like based on reality, you know, like we go through like all the feelings, all the emotions that we go through every day, and you know, in the movie it's like, you know, just keep fighting, never give up. So that's just basically it.
Tuloy Ang Laban, which means the fight continues, is an inspiring film that reminds us we are all guerreros, or warriors.
I think it could inspire in many ways, such as, so the character of Miguel, he was really spreading positivity in the movie. He was trying to inspire others and sharing his skills by making others happy.
We get hurt and we cry at times. We may lose some fights, but the battle that is life is still ahead of us. So we should not quit nor surrender. For Eagle News, reporting from Calgary, Alberta, Canada, I'm Tiffany Alisasis, and I'm 1 with 25.
Thanks, Tiffany. Up next, the Georgia Swarm claims victory against the Vancouver Warriors. The Vancouver Giants kept their fans on their toes at the Western Hockey League. And the Church of Christ helps out the homeless in Edmonton through the Aid to Humanity project. Filipinos in Ottawa feel the warmth at a Kabayan Ko Kapatid Ko event. Vancouver communities receive assistance from the Church of Christ. This is Eagle News. You're watching Eagle News. I'm Arnie Aquino. For EBC Sports, the Georgia Swarm swarmed with tricks as they beat the Vancouver Warriors. Here's Eagle News correspondent Zolti Horvath with the report.
The Georgia Swarm rolled into Rogers Arena and defeated the Vancouver Warriors 14-7. Warriors' Jordan McBride scored 4 goals with Riley Lowen adding a hat trick, but that was all Vancouver could muster as they fell to 4-8 on the season. With over 8,000 fans in attendance in Vancouver, the Swarm shut down any chance of victory by the Warriors before the second quarter was over. The Swarm scored 6 goals in the first quarter and 3 more in the second to take a 9-3 lead into halftime. Warriors forward Jordan McBride scored his 18th to 21st goals of the season with his 4-goal game. Forward Riley Lowen scored his 13th to 15th goals of the season with his hat trick. The second half surge by the Warriors was to no avail as the Swarm held on to double the Warriors' goals 14-7. Warriors head coach Chris Gill mentioned postgame that the biggest issue was the Swarm's power play that went 6 for 7 on the night. He stated the game would have been much closer if it wasn't for the special teams. The Georgia Swarm are sitting second place in the East Division behind New England with 8 games remaining. And although the Warriors sit on the bottom of the West Division, they are only 3.5 games back of the lead. With 6 games remaining, there's still time for Vancouver to work their way up the standings and show that they are worthy of a playoff spot. Zolti Horvath, Eagle News, 1 with 25.
More on ABC Sports, the Vancouver Giants claimed their spot at the 2020 WHL playoffs. Here again is Eagle News correspondent Zolti Horvath.
The Vancouver Giants powered through the Victoria Royals 3-0 in a crucial BC Division matchup just a few weeks before the playoffs begin. The Vancouver Giants started the game off strong, outshooting the Royals 17-6 in the first period. Defenseman Trevor Longo opened the scoring on an impressive shot that snuck past Royals goalie Adam Ivanov. The goal was Longo's 6th of the season and was the eventual game winner for the Giants, while the Royals netminder Ivanov went on to save 32 of 34 shots on goal in the loss. The Giants' defense played some of its best hockey of the season, allowing only 18 shots on goal. Leading the defense was goal scorer Trevor Longo. Giants head coach Michael Dick mentioned the great play of Longo as well as the rest of the defensive unit.
He did a lot of good things. He played well on both sides of the puck. He's physical. He activated a lot of the transition that we had out of our zone. So again, I think all year long we talked about our defense being a big part of our transition game, and I thought they did a pretty good job of that tonight.
The third period gave the Giants 2 more goals. Bowen Byram scored his 11th of the season and then assisted an empty netter by Milos Roman to close out the game. Although he had a solid performance, Byram noted that the team as a whole still has a lot to improve on.
Yeah, I thought we played pretty well. I think we have areas in our game that we can get better in for sure. So we just got to regroup and watch some video and get dialed in for our next couple of games.
Just days ago, both teams clinched the spot in the playoffs with wins in their respective games. With the win tonight, the Giants took second place from the Royals with the 2 games in hand. Both teams will look to focus up and start preparing for March 27th, the opening day of the 2020 WHL playoffs. Zsolti Horvath, Eagle News, 1 with 25.
Still to come, the Church of Christ helps out the homeless in Edmonton through the Aid to Humanity project. Filipinos in Ottawa feel the warmth at a Kabayan Ko Kapatid Ko event. Vancouver communities receive assistance from the Church of Christ. You're watching Eagle News.
We are living during the most extraordinary time in human history.
All transport will go fully electric.
Es wird eine völlig neue Mobilität geben, meine Damen und Herren.
Rev, the new auto show on DW. Getting you into gear on cutting-edge developments.
Wasserstofferzeugung braucht Energie.
We focus on green technology.
Das Auto ist im Betrieb absolut emissionsfrei.
And also feature head-to-heads. And the latest launches.
Das Fahrgefühl war gut, er lässt sich sehr gut fahren, er liegt sehr gut auf der Straße.
And mobility stories from around the world.
This is Eagle News. I'm Arnie Aquino. Although winter is still felt in the city, Edmontonians felt the warmth from the Church of Christ at an Aid to Humanity event to help the city's homeless. Here's Eagle News correspondent Karina Buluran with the details.
It's almost spring and temperatures are warmer. We don't hear as many stories about people scrambling to find shelter in -40-degree weather. But for those with no place to live, life is still a daily struggle. Homeward Trust is an agency trying to end homelessness in the Alberta capital. The agency says more than 1,600 people in Edmonton do not have a place to stay. There are places such as this one, Hope Mission. It provides shelter for over 500 people and feeds about 1,000 people a day. Today, several congregations of the Iglesia ni Cristo or Church of Christ in Edmonton have gathered in the inner city. Church spokesman, Brother Paquito Ibanez, says they are here to give a hand up to some of the less fortunate in our city.
We're giving away these care packages for the homeless. One is here in Hope Mission and one over there also in Boyle Street where there are so many homeless people sitting over there.
They are distributing care bags which contain snacks and some of the necessities of life such as soap, a toothbrush, and toothpaste. These are things most of us take for granted, but when you live on the street, items such as soap or a toothbrush are out of reach. Brother Ibanez says helping those who have little is part of their faith.
The intention of the church administration is to continue on in our effort in helping people who are in need. So with the same spirit with that, the brethren in this district, through the leadership of our district minister, have encouraged everyone in our district, especially the officers, to participate in this.
The items distributed today may not seem like much, but for some, the act of kindness may be the first time in a long time they have experienced a stranger's caring. In Edmonton, Karina Buluran, Eagle News, 1 with 25.
Thanks, Karina. Now let's go over to Ottawa, where Eagle News correspondent Sabir Mufti shares with us how Filipinos there enjoyed a day of friendship and a feeling of home at a Kabayan Ko Kapatid Ko event there. Sabir?
Canada, a mosaic, diverse, and multicultural society, is home to many from different parts of the world. According to Statistics Canada, Asia, including the Middle East, was Canada's largest source of immigrants during the past 5 years. Although the share of immigration from Africa, Caribbean, Central and South America increased slightly.
In the 2016 census, the Canadian Filipino population grew by 26% between 2011 and 2016. Filipino immigrants were the largest group of newcomers to the country, totaling 15.6% of new arrivals. Today, Filipinos are the third largest Asian Canadian group, with 837,130 now living in the country. For some, seeking a better source of livelihood is the driving force to leave their home country. However, settling in a new community could be the biggest change in a person's life. Immigrating and adapting to a new culture can be challenging and complicated. According to studies, challenges immigrants may face are language barrier, employment opportunities, housing, isolation, access to services and transportation, prejudice, and cultural differences. Migrant Filipino families face the same challenges when they first settled in Canada, but have proved themselves resilient, preserved their culture while adapting to a new society.
The Iglesia ni Cristo, or Church of Christ, launches its Kabayan Ko Kapatid Ko for offering fellow kababayans, Filipino organizations, and immigrants an opportunity to exchange pleasantries and perspectives on what it is like to live in this country they call home. The event is hoping to synchronize socio-civic projects of the Felix Y. Manalo Foundation with the Filipino associations here in Ottawa-Gatineau, along with the Philippine Embassy, of welcoming and reaching out to new and old Filipino immigrants or those who might be needing assistance.
We would like to thank, first of all, Mr. Eduardo Manalo, Executive Minister of Iglesia ni Cristo.
Tonight we have seen a great number of our guests who came in to this event, and they've enjoyed the night with the programs prepared by the brethren and shared with the food also prepared by the brethren.
We would like to thank Ka Eduardo Manalo and the Iglesia ni Cristo for embarking on this very important project. You know, Filipinos, we are very community-oriented people, and when they have to move to a new country, it can be a very daunting prospect to go into unfamiliar territory, and it really helps for these migrant Filipinos to know that members of their community welcome them and are ready to help them. It really helps them ease into the transition.
Canada's major cities, like Ottawa, have communities from different countries, making it diverse and ideal for new immigrants settling in Canada. Here, community groups offer assistance, support, and advice for those adjusting to a new life in a different society. From Kabayan Ko, Kapatid Ko, here in Ottawa, Eagle News, Sabir Mufti, 1/25.
Thanks, Sabir. Now let's go back to Vancouver, where a homeless shelter also receives help through the Aid to Humanity project. Here's Eagle News correspondent Kat Mangaron with the report.
Located in New Westminster is the Russell, a homeless shelter for men 19 years or older. Today, the Iglesia ni Cristo is on location to hold an Aid to Humanity outreach event. Brother Felmar Sereno, a minister of the Iglesia ni Cristo, explains what the Aid to Humanity initiative is.
There's a worldwide event of the Church of Christ this weekend under the project that we call Aid to Humanity, and connected with that, My Countrymen, My Brethren. So the Iglesia ni Cristo, the Church of Christ, is a Christian religion dedicated to upholding the gospel of Christ. And included in the gospel of Christ is to love our fellow man, to reach out to those who are in need. So that's why, through the leadership of our elders in the church, these projects, these activities are launched on a global scale in congregations throughout the world. So we united by partnering up with a local shelter. That's the Russell Homeless Shelter for Men. And we coordinated with them, and they gave us their list of items that we could help out with. So we mobilized our brethren, and that's what we're doing today.
He also explains how they prepared for this event.
Today we gathered the items. Actually, days prior we've been gathering the items, boxing them appropriately, and they are items for personal well-being, for good hygiene, and also because it's still a bit chilly, so that there are some blankets in there, some gloves, some hats that we hope can be of help to our fellow men. Of course, you know, these items aren't the solution to, you know, the ultimate solution to poverty, but we hope that this act of kindness lets them know that we're here to help, and the members of the Church of Christ are willing to share what we can to be of help to those who are in need.
Why are the members of the Iglesia ni Cristo eager to help in this outreach efforts? Brother Felmar Sereno once again explains.
Well, as I mentioned earlier, the Church of Christ is a Christian religion dedicated to upholding the gospel of our Lord Jesus Christ. And included in that is to aid our fellow men. So this is something we're going to continue to do, to reach out to our fellow men, not only to help when it comes to material needs, but all the more when it comes to spiritual needs.
Kat Mangaron, Eagle News, 1/25.
Thanks, Kat. That is this week's Eagle News. Join us next week for stories that matter to you. Visit our websites at eaglenews.net and eaglenewslive.com. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/eaglenews and on Facebook at facebook.com/eaglenews. Thank you for watching. I'm Arnie Aquino. I'm 1/25.